who gives you a manual of
Exactly.
this
Where does it
child
say?
once you come out of the hospital and say, you know, in a year, you're ready to go back to work?
Mama's Code. Hey, mamas.
Hey, mamas.
Thank you for tuning in. On this episode, we're going to talk about working mums.
I'm Jess.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Melissa.
And together we are the Mama's Code.
So how's everyone?
All good in the hood. How are you guys?
Yeah, I mean, just rolling with it, really. This is trying to get used to our new normal, aren't we?
Our new normal, but remember when you had to go back to work after having a baby? And in reality, that was your new normal, except now you have a baby. So adapting to it all over again.
That's a hard one.
It is.
And especially like them last few months, you start dreading it.
When it starts approaching your return date.
Yeah. And it's almost like you don't want it to end. And every day that goes by is closer to you starting, and you feel that kind of like sickening feeling in your stomach.
But then you get...
you get other people, I think you were going to say other people that actually enjoy it. Like they feel like I need to go back to work.
Or I was going to say, or you get the days when it's just like, oh, I just want to go back to work. Like I need to talk to other adults. Like this is just because you see your partner coming and going. You're like, oh my God, I can't wait to go back to work. But then, like you said, once the months are approached and the days go by, you're like, oh, maybe I don't want to go back to work. And it's just because you've had a rubbish day.
Yeah, I think it's like a love and hate relationship, isn't it? Because you really love spending the time you've had with your kids, and at the same time it's almost like get me out, get me back into what was normal to me before becoming a mum, let's say.
And I think like there's always going to be people that judge, because there are mums out there that generally do want to go back to work, and they feel that guilt that they're leaving their baby, but you have this drive to wanting to go to work. And
I think it's a good point, because I mean, yes, you get the mums that they also love their career, they love their job, and I think when you have your child, you instantly feel like more determined to go out there and provide and give them the best life they can have.
I think what I wanted to say is that you feel that guilt that you actually want to go back.
But see, there's no...
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
do you think that's a society thing?
What do you mean?
Like, do you think you feel guilty for going back to work because you get the negative Nancy saying, oh, are you going back to work already? Your child's only 2 months.
I don't know. It goes from person to person, because I personally feel like some people just do it because they want to. Like not everyone, cares what other people think, but you still deep down, think. So I've got a colleague that she had a C-section, and like the law says that you have to stay out for at least 2 weeks. You can't just have your baby and come back the next day.
Yeah.
So you need to have at least a 2-week break. And she did that. So, and imagine it was a C-section. So it was 2 weeks, and then she went straight back into her career. And it, like, for me, like, I don't like judging mums or anything. I think everyone's entitled to their own, way of being. But I felt, wow, that's so soon. It was just like, I just can't deal with a baby at home. And it's not nothing bad. It's nothing bad, because it's like, we lose our identity. And I feel like the fear of, going back to work is harder on us that take, the full year, than those that go back sooner, I suppose.
What if these mums who go back, quite soon after having their baby, what if it's just because they don't want to have that extra added pressure of trying to adapt again to the working environment? What if, taking 2 weeks or even like a month is probably not going to cause such an impact on what they were working on or projects or whatever the case is? And it's almost like they just want to carry on and not let a baby almost put such a big pause in the career, let's say.
And I think in terms of that, Fish, Melissa, I think it's more so because, men are always above women. So some women might think, I'm in a high position. Yeah. Once I come out for a long period of time, when I go back, it's always going to be like, well, you weren't here for such a long time. Let this person kind of take on, and it would always be like a man. So maybe you don't want that pressure even, just the thought of going back and you almost feel left out when you do go back, like out of place because you haven't been there for so long. So yeah, I suppose that could be something.
And you're just trying to play catch up, really.
Exactly. Because I know, like, especially like when I started back at work, I remember the first day and opening my inbox, and I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, like, are you serious? I was out for a whole year, and I felt like probably the first month I was trying to catch up. And even then, it took me a while because not only was I trying to catch up, I was trying to remember like how to use the systems again. This whole baby brain, I was struggling to remember passwords or remember how to do certain things. And it took me quite a few months to actually feel like, okay, I know where I am again, because so much had changed, but not a lot has changed, if that makes any sense.
Or you go back and you see like a lot of new faces and they look at you like you're the newbie and you're kind of like, no, I've been here for a really long time. Like I remember when I went back and I had a passing comment like, oh, she's very grumpy, but it's just my face. And then my colleague was like, oh, this guy doesn't like you because you've got a grumpy face. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I've been here for like 3 years. And then he was like, yeah, he thought you weren't. He thought it was the other girl that was here. I was like, well, no, he's going to have to live with it, seeing my grumpy face. But it's and that almost makes you feel like a bit shit, because it's like, you obviously don't know everything I have to go through, leaving my baby to come back to work, and I almost felt like when I went back to work, it was like, once I went into that door, my personal life stays there. No one really, I don't know. It's like you go back as if nothing's changed. And they expect you to continue where you left off. Whereas, like I'm a strong believer with baby brain, because I almost forget, like you tell me your name and then the second later, I don't know what your name is.
True. It still happens.
You had baby brain without kids.
Exactly. So imagine with kids. But it's that, like, it's so daunting to go back and, being expected to remember absolutely everything and getting questions and hear. And, you go straight back into meetings and you just see so many faces and, like, you've been off of all that for, like, a whole year. I don't know. I just feel like you're rushed into it. It can be very overwhelming. Quick.
I remember, I was quite excited to go back into work. I think once I got into the office, I was just like, yes, I'm back. But that first week, I was so tired and I didn't have a laptop for the first 3 days. So I didn't do any work for the first 3 days. I just went into the office to sit and kind of start chatting again with the people that were around. But I was tired. I was actually genuinely tired, and the amount of work I did was nothing compared to what I would normally do. But I think it was just getting up, getting into a routine again was tiring enough.
I remember there was this colleague as well. She came back from having a baby. She only took 6 months. And when she came back, it was like, oh, how are you? How's the baby? She showed one picture and then everyone was like, okay, so this is what we need to do today. But like literally briefed her for the whole week. And once the managers left the office, she looked over like, oh, like, like I saw it from the outside, like, okay, well, no one clearly cared about you coming back from a baby. No one helped you settle back in. Yes, you're coming back to your old job, but did anyone think maybe she's doubting herself? Maybe she's feeling overwhelmed because did she cry when she left the house today, leaving her baby with the carer or wherever, whoever's looking after the baby? No one kind of thought, let's be nice to her this week to kind of help her soothe herself back in. It was just go. And like Erica was saying, once you get to that door, you leave your family and then it's just a new thing.
And that's a massive bit that plays into your experience coming back as a mum. Because, if you're lucky to have a working environment that are quite supportive and are there to be like, look, okay, you said you want to come back on these hours or on these conditions, but just know that if for whatever reason you don't feel like it's working a week, 2 weeks, a month in, we can be flexible. We can change, your hours, your contract. You can start later. if that's kind of what you're walking into, you feel a bit more relaxed. But if you're walking
100%.
into an environment where it's like, oh, hi, you know, great to see you, see a picture of the baby, here you go, start work. It's like, well, if I'm here or if I'm not here, if I decide to leave, you wouldn't even care. So what's the point?
Yeah, no, 100%. I feel like, well, you guys personally know like my issues with work and stuff. And I feel like having 2 kids of different ages is really hard because, you know, I have to drop one off at nursery and then the other one's in like full-time, primary school. So my thing is, you know, as a working mum, I can't nor drop my child off at school or pick him up. And I feel like when I went back to work, none of this was discussed, you know, like I feel like it, like you say, Mel, like if you get a bit of flexibility, but I was never given that. It was always kind of like, well, no, we need you in the office, but you don't really need me here. Like I can do my job at home. And it's like, it's just that like your hormones are like, people think that because a year has gone past or 6 months or 9 months, whatever you want to call it, your hormones are all ready and, you know, you're back into, but it's not. And you don't know what the woman has, you know, gone through all this. Has she had an easy baby? As like, you know, are you still breastfeed? Like when I walked into that office, yes, my manager received me with a hug. Did I feel welcomed? No. I know it's like a man, so he might have felt like, you know, a bit, it's not a question he would ask me, but no one ever asked me, are you breastfeeding? Do you need a place for you to go and breastfeed? Like pump? No, I never got asked that. Yeah, nothing. Nothing. I never got asked nothing of that. And it was only when, you know, it was my breaking point that I kind of mentioned all these stuff. But, you know, like, because you have so much pressure on yourself, I kind of like just sucked it all up. And I put this wall up. And every time I was asked, you know, are you okay? I'd always just pretend to be like, yeah, I'm fine. Because I always felt like, you know, the extra added pressure. Like if I said I wasn't, I would be deemed like, you know, not capable of doing my job because I have children. And I feel like a lot of moms go through that, you know, they build this wall up and everything's okay. Like I could literally not have slept the whole night because I have a sick child at home, but I would have to come work and pretend like everything is okay. And I think that's, you know, for any work environment, that's awful because you have to go through this for like a long period of time, but no one's really there for you. And I feel like no job really has support in terms of, you know, helping mums out or dads in that say, because I'm dads go through it too. Like, you know, I know for one, Camilo stays up with me, the kids at night. And I don't know how his boss works around, but he still needs to do, you know, and I know that we're still getting paid. So we will still have to do our job, but just giving us the extra flexibility, you know, even being like, you know what, you look a bit down today. Like, I know for sure I've gone into the office and I've literally cried at my desk and I've had to pretend, you know, that I've just yawned or that I have something in my eye, but I don't feel confident enough to, you know, be like, yeah, no, I just feel down. Like I'm mentally not okay because this is happening at home. No one's ever approached me in that way.
It's horrible because you know what? The reality is that is a lot of the experience of some mums returning to work and being at work for however long they've been there after having a baby. And it's really sad because at this day and age, we would expect to have, you know, a bit more understanding, policies in place, people there to help support the mums and the dads that are coming back into work to settle, you know, that period. It's a rough period.
Yeah. Just on that note, what you've both said about the support when you go back to work is, you don't know if I've just, you know, had postnatal depression. Like exactly. I could be coming back to work because I feel like maybe getting out of the house, trying to get a bit more to my old routine might help me. You don't know this. You don't know if I'm actually struggling with everything, struggling with the fact that maybe I feel like I don't love my child. Maybe I've fallen out with my partner and now I'm a single mom. Maybe, you know, my whole house is upside down. And I think it's true that wherever you're working don't have a policy or at least have a debrief with, I don't know, HR or someone that in the company can come to you on your first day back and know exactly, like make you feel welcome, to make you feel like you can open up and say, look, I feel I've just had postnatal depression, or I've split up with my partner or XY reasons, or like you were saying, for men, they only get 2 weeks. Maybe they've gone back to work feeling the pressure, like, how am I now going to bring in all the money? I want to bond with my baby. It's just a two-way thing. And, your colleagues as well, am I now looking like, oh, you were just on holiday, basically, because a lot of people they see maternity leave as, oh, but you're just at holiday, like a holiday. Exactly.
And so it's almost like, did you really just say that? Like, I remember once, and this was being back at work after about 4 or 5 months, a colleague came over and he was like, oh, nice to meet you, are you new? And I was like, no, I'm actually the longest standing member of the company here in the UK.
I am a legend.
Who are you, kind of situation. And then he was like, oh, okay, I've never seen you. So I said, I was on maternity for a year. He was like, oh, well, that's a bit long, isn't it? And I was like, sorry.
Yeah, but how long is too long?
Exactly, that's the thing. That's what.
When is it too soon?
Exactly. When? How are you going to tell me that a year is enough? Like, who gives you a manual of this child? Once you come out of the hospital and say, in a year you're ready to go back to work. Like, who tells you, oh, you're going to suffer from depression, you're gonna have leaky breast, and you're gonna find it hard to breastfeed. You're gonna have problems with your partners, because we know we've all had it. We have bad days with the kids, and like, I, for one, felt like sometimes I felt my life was put on a hold, but Ollie continued his life as normal. And he would obviously go out and, do his own thing, and I'd be stuck at home. And I'd sometimes look at my child like, what the hell? Like, why did I have you? Like, I love him, but do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like,
you get
why
that
am I
split
stuck in here? And I remember with Joel, like, I think it was more tough for me the first time, because, again, I was the first mom. Both of you guys were working. Everyone was working. And then, like, if you guys wanted to go out, you guys would go out. And then I'll just be stuck at home like, well, yeah, no, I can't, because I have to. And it was, and I feel like with you guys, it was like, yeah, but just leave him. But now that you guys are moms, that you're kind of like, yeah, no, I don't think I can. But it's just going to be for a while. And it's always like that. It's just going to be a few hours, and then you can go, and then you're still kind of like, yeah, no, I don't think so. And then now that you guys are moms, you can understand where I always came from. Like, the going out and then having to come back home and knowing my child's going to wake up so early. So you basically get zero sleep. That was a killer. And we tried, because we were still young. We still wanted to, be the lively couple along with you both. Not that we needed to carry on at your pace, because we knew we were long left from what you guys were doing. But we wanted to feel like, kind of like, yeah, we can still do it. Like, us being parents wasn't going to slow us down, kind of thing.
And also because you were a couple before being parents. So it was having that balance.
Yeah, exactly. Going on date nights. And I feel like personally with you guys, it was more flexible with, like, we always pick like something kid friendly, because Jojo always had to come with us. Whereas I feel like
never even discussed. We would always make plans and be like,
Yeah, well, I remember sometimes we'll show up without him, and you'd be like, what are you guys doing?
Exactly.
Yeah, like,
why did you even bother coming? Bye.
But people get it the other way around, Like, I've encountered stories where people are like, yeah, my friends, all they wanted to do was like go raving, and I've got a child, and it was like every single week. Oh, well, what's the motive? Oh, raving. Oh, what's the motive for the next week? Raving. But it was never like, let's go to a park, let's go walk with the baby. Like, it's anything, But some people don't go through that. So I think in terms of that, like, even then, like, I really wanted to get back into the, like, the whole commotion of working. And I'm going to be honest, like, I felt so jealous when you both, were employed, and I would cry to Camilla, and I'd be like, that's just so unfair. Like, why does my life have to stop? And then he was like, maybe we'll, get a job. But then I'd be like, how am I going to, like, babe? Like, you're torn between the both. Yeah. And I was just like, nah. Because I remember, like, I was doing a part-time job in Chelsea still when I had Joel. And then when he was like 3 months, I got told to go to work, like, for a shift. And I thought, you know what, let me try it out. I cried the whole day, and I was like, yeah, no, I can't do this. It was just not for me.
And it's so funny because I'm pretty sure Melissa and me would wake up on a cold winter morning, freezing, raining, and we'll be like, man, you're lucky you're at home.
See, we don't understand, but now we have our own kids, and you know, the fact that you're at home doesn't mean you're sitting on your ass and
you're doing nothing
and living your best life. No.
Or like under the covers because your kids don't let. No, your kids do not let you live.
The thing is, sometimes they want to snuggle with you. What about the times where they don't? And
no,
they won't even want to snuggle with you.
When does the snuggling? When does the snuggling come in?
As soon as they start like moving.
No.
Okay. When they're 1 day old,
back the 1 week,
literally.
1 week,
because after that,
because they wouldn't move, you would and they would sleep all day, so you could sleep as well.
But you couldn't really.
You couldn't.
I had no choice. I had the grunting.
I always wanted. I always wanted to be next to him and like who's touching him, and if I had visitors over, I'm like I'll literally sit next to the child. Like no, if
the child,
you have to go through me if you want to carry the child.
But no,
I mean,
it is, and the mum guilt.
Man.
You know, you said when you went back after 3 months for like that trial shift for you.
But even then, Mil, like when I was crying, like I literally, my whole argument with Ollie was like, Melissa and Jessica are working, why can't I be working? And he would be like, baby, there's a solution, let's look for a job. How do you think I'm going to work if I have a baby? I can't leave my baby.
Torn.
So it was like, what the hell is wrong with you?
He was looking at you like, is this woman okay?
So that's all.
Yeah, like
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Are you hearing yourself?
Yeah, it's like you literally are crying because you want to go to work, and I'm giving you the solution, and you're crying because
I'm giving you the solution.
And it's hard because obviously, like, and I've said it to you guys so many times, like I live for that year and a half that I spent with Jojo because I feel like, you know, I got to bond with him so much, and I got to see him grow, and you know, I suffered a lot when he went into nursery because even Ollie, who was like, I think it's time for you know, just push him in there. Maybe you need to go back to work because I literally, I don't know what was wrong with me, but I did not want to. You know, it was that trying to get him to do something else was really hard, and I suffer with change. So you know, we always thought Joel would have to detach from me first before me going back to work because I don't think I could have been able to do it the other way around. So me leave him to go to work. So I had to feel secure that he was in the right nursery. He was, you know, fitting in. He was doing good for me to then, you know, go and look for a job.
And also it's that not wanting to miss out on milestones.
I remember.
Yeah.
Do you remember when...
It's really difficult.
I think Maya was about 11 months old. And she was just starting, you know, doing the whole nearly wanting to walk, but not just quite sure. And I remember once I said to Erica, I was like, I'm going to start work and I'm going to miss her first steps. And I started crying. I literally just started crying because I thought I'm going to be working in a month's time. And she's obviously not walking just yet, but this is such a big thing, you know, the videoing. And she walked before I went into work. You know, she did the whole 5-6 steps, and for me I just felt like, okay, like now I can go to work, like I had a choice anyway. But you know, I felt really upset that I was potentially going to miss my daughter's first steps, and for me that was hard. Oh
guys, like now that you say that, I've been feeling like this since January because I had to go back in March, and then obviously in Feb, and then in April was kind of like my year completed, and I started thinking that, I'm going to miss his first steps and everything, exactly what you just said, Mel. I'm going to be seeing it on videos that are being sent, and then now I don't have to go back to work because it's just not on the books at the moment until June. So I hope he walks by then.
I'm sure he will.
No pressure, Leandro.
Nope, not gonna walk for her.
Mama, I love you.
No, and I don't know, like Jess, you'll feel this when you go back to work, but Mel, how did you feel like when you went back? And obviously we worked like bang in the city, and you know, your colleagues are like Friday, Thursday night, like, oh, let's go for drinks. Do you feel like pressured? Because I think the amount of times, and I think if my colleagues hear this podcast, they're going to be cussing me, because the amount of times I've had to be like, yeah, I'm going to go, wait for me at the bar. I never turn up.
No, you know what? I can relate. And my team, like where I work, the team is really small. So our UK office, there's only like a handful of us anyways. And everyone likes to go out Thursday, Friday, but these guys that I work with, they go out every single day. So, you know, it's pretty much Monday, Tuesday, the whole week. But yeah, I felt the pressure. I mean, I would go every now and then, but they knew. I think what helped me was that I wasn't much of a let's go out after work drinker before having Maya. So it wasn't like they were expecting me to join again. But I did make the effort at the beginning a lot to do it, just because I wanted to just fit in and feel like I was still fun.
You were
like
still fun.
You know, I wasn't just the mum, and I'm not boring. And
she's the one that just shows pictures of her baby, and oh my God.
I would always say, because we all love our food, but I would always say, if there's food involved, then I'm going. But if it's just the drinking, then nah. So most of the time I would get my way and I was happy. So I would stay for a couple drinks, a couple hours, and I was home by 9-10, and that was it. Ready to sleep.
I did that. I did that with Joel. So like when I started work, I would always go out, and like with work, it would always be like on a Tuesday. So it was harder because like, you know, you get your drinks on, and like, you know, your colleagues are always like, oh, more drinks, and you get kind of like into the rhythm of things. Like once you're 1-2 glasses down, you just kind of want to stay, because you know, you feel a bit free. Like, obviously I know that Jojo's with Ollie and everything's fine, but with 2 now it's very difficult, because if I find it hard, you know, like now I think we have to put Kay to sleep first, and then I automatically have that guilt, like, oh, Jojo's going to be like chilling by himself in the living room when I should be here for him, you know. I should be putting him to sleep as well. And Ollie can't do them both because they sleep in different rooms. And I just start thinking, I'm like, oh, imagine like, you know, he needs something and then he wants to go and knock on the door, and then Ollie's going to get frustrated because he's, you know, Caden, when he sees Joel, his eyes light up and he just wants to, he just hears his footsteps and he's like, Jojo. So like, I always think of, you know, and I just don't like it. Like, you know, yes, I'm entitled to have fun, and Ollie is one for me to go out and stuff. But I always think of those things, and you know, just the thought of I get drunk with like looking at wine. So if I have 2 glasses of wine, the next day is Wednesday, which is the days that like work, our team always goes out. I'm going to be hanging for the next day, and then to get 2 kids ready to go out to school, it's more pressure on me. So it's like, you know, I can't even complain because I brought this on myself.
Not forget the fact that we've probably been up very early, maybe even during the night, because who knows, maybe the kids decide to randomly wake up, or they're not feeling well, whatever the case is. We're knackered by the time it's like 6 p.m. anyways, you know, just to spice things up. We're probably yawning as our colleagues are down in shots.
Literally. Like I remember once, like I only had Jojo, and I think I was, like, the next day I saw you guys, that we went to the Maluma concert, that on the Tuesday I went out. Yeah. And remember, I was pregnant by then and I didn't even know. And that and on the Tuesday we were down in tequila shots. And I remember in the Maluma concert, you guys were like, oh, let's get a drink. And I was like, I'm hanging, I can't.
That was probably.
And meanwhile, little Kay was like swimming inside of me, like, give
no
me
more, mommy, no more.
I think that's why he loves, like, he's so wild.
Mama's code. People probably think, like, when they see people coming back, like, why did you even have a child if you can't handle it?
Do you know what it is? Like, and I feel this personally. I don't know if Mel, you go through this, but I even have some people, like, you know, there's parents that you can talk to at work, so you have a conversation going on. But I have people, like girls that are in my company, and sometimes they throw out stupid comments. Like I remember a girl, someone was talking to me about, you know, a kid, and I was like, oh, and she was like, yeah, I can't wait to have mine. And this other girl was like, oh yeah, no, kids are dickheads. And I was like, what, pardon? And she was like, yeah, like they're just so fucking annoying. And I'm like, but do you even have any? And she was like, nah, but they just look annoying.
Oh.
And then I was like, you know, like obviously you're in a working environment. I can't kill you, but watch your mouth. But it's passing comments like that, you know, like why would you even like ruin your life? It's only when you have your kids that you realize you haven't ruined it. Like they've actually added value to it.
And when you can actually say such comments.
Yeah, like if you don't have a kid, how do you even know?
Your life
you
changes,
bloody loser.
Of course it does, but it's finding that balance, isn't it? Just
no, but it's like even like if I didn't have kids, like I mean, I was the first one from both of you that had kids, and you guys never were like, yeah, well, your life must be boring now. Fuck kids.
We wouldn't be here.
Exactly, you'd be dead. Because it's like, how, like, who the fuck raised you for you to even think, you know, like, maybe your mum should have swallowed you because you clearly have no value for life.
It's a bit out there.
It literally boils my blood. Like someone can sit there and be like, oh, you know, like, nah, I prefer having a dog. They're less trouble. No, they're exactly the same, actually. No, I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, nah, kids are like, just, ugh. Like, why are you disgusted by kids? Like, what is wrong with you? Are you mentally not okay?
When you're saying it to someone who has children, and if you know they have children,
who has a child,
very
exactly,
insensitive and actually quite rude. Because if you say a comment like that and you don't know that they have children, it's almost like, okay, I can give you a pass, but I still want to, you know, strangle you. Especially if you're around a parent, probably not a nice thing to say. That
just
why would you even say that?
Exactly, to someone who doesn't have children, maybe.
The whole subject, like, you know, there's people like, I'm sure you've been through it, because it's not just, you know, those insensitive comments from people that don't have kids, but it's also from parents. So like, I know you've had it, Mel, when like when I go to Joel's school, like I feel like I need to, you know, I've always felt like I have to have a connection with these people. I don't get, like I've mentioned, I don't get a chance to drop him off nor pick him up. So it's either my parents or, you know, we like do a rotation of like Ollie's mom or my dad. But I've never been able to, you know, do it, only when I was off work for some time. And then now with Rona along, I could do it, but now he's not in school. But it was that's what was affecting me, that not being able. And like when I finally went once for an assembly, I had a woman's like, oh, you're Joel's mum. She's like, oh, we never see you. Okay, why is it your business? Like, my child's well taken care of. Like, I was just that, you know, his grandma always comes. So what is it that you're trying to, like, you know, question? Like, what? Yeah, is it bad that I've gone back to work? Like, what is it? Like, I'm sorry, I'm not well off like you. It's not me. Like, I need to go back. Like, you know, and that's another thing. Like, to be financially stable. Like, I know, like, if I stayed at home, we'll be well off. But I don't want that extra pressure added on Ollie. So I want to be able to contribute. And I have nothing against with people that, you know, are willing to stay at home, because I, more than anyone, knows how hard it is. So you're already contributing to, you know, childcare costs, everything, because childcare is so expensive. But, you know, when, like, I feel like with Joel, I put my career on hold because I obviously graduated, and even after graduating, I still haven't gotten into the field, because I feel like I have to put my children before my career, basically, because I know, like, if I get too into what I want to do, I won't have the time or flexibility I have now. So that's something as well that some people don't ask. Like, some moms just, you know, settle for something that could be more flexible rather than going into what they actually love doing.
It's a big thing. And actually, what you said about comments being made, I had the same thing actually over Christmas. My mum took her to the play centre and they were doing this nativity play. Bear in mind, obviously, I had the year off, and I would take my pretty much at least 3 times a week around the play centres where we live. And, you know, you kind of have the same kids always going, and you make the bonds with these mums, and, you know, it's almost like they're little friends. And I remember going back in Christmas, so excited, because it was Maya's first ever nativity, you know, kind of play. And this woman comes up to me saying, oh, you're Maya's mum. And I was like, yeah, kind of, again, a bit defensive, like, you're asking. She was like, well, it's nice to see you're taking time off work. And I just thought, excuse me? Like, I brought my daughter here for a good year. How dare you even say a comment like that? And I remember coming out of, that our session and literally messaging, like, you guys and saying, like, what the hell? Like, I feel like such a shit mum. And
like a shit
what
mum,
makes it even worse is another mum saying it to me. Like, what makes you think that's okay?
Yeah.
And, I remember, Erica, you saying to me, you know what, Mel, that's just the beginning. That's just the beginning, and you're probably going to get it the first day, when they start school and people making comments. And actually, some of us have to work. Some of us want to work as well. So why should you point the finger?
Yeah, it's unfair. It's really unfair. Like, not everyone can make it, Some people have to go to work and can't take the time out. And it's just it's not fair on parents, because it's just, again,
and
more
what?
pressure
I don't even
added.
need to even justify. I'm tired of this as well. Every time someone says, "But why?" It's like, sorry, and you are for me to say my reasons.
I can only imagine how much harder it gets when it's your child making the comments.
Oh, 100%. I've had Joel, Mummy, why can't you take me? Like, some days they just want their grandparents to take them.
Yeah.
Joel's very close to them. So he's like, oh no, I want my abuelo to take me. But then there's days that, they wake up in the mood, but why can't you take me? And I'm explaining to him. And obviously I'm like, with my voice breaking, baby, I have to go to work. Oh, but why is work so important? Why can't you take me? Everyone else's mummy takes them. And, he starts naming, like, oh, X, Y, and Z mummies takes them. And we always talk, and they ask me, where's your mummy? Why does your granddad bring you? And kids being kids, they will be like, oh, well,
and it's
where's your mummy?
harmful.
Like, my mummy's here, but innocently. Yeah, it's innocently. But then your kid is obviously questioning, like, like, if his mum can be here or her mum can be here, why can't my mum be here? Where's my mum? Where's my dad? And I've had to, like, literally, like, tears rolling down my eyes. And my dad's had to step in for me. And he's like, you know what, baby, if mummy doesn't go to work, she won't be able to buy you all the toys you have. And then he kind of looks at me, and he, even once he was like, I don't want all the toys I have. I just want you to take me to school. How do you think that makes me feel? Because it's going to happen. Like, it's going to happen when Leo grows up, when Maya grows up. They're going to, push buttons, not because they want to make us feel bad, but because as children, all they want is to have their parents present. And I feel like work do not necessarily understand that either, that we have children adding that extra bit of, questioning when they start with their whys and hows, and it's a never ending cycle with them. And, but this person did this, so why can't I do this? And, it's just like, you have to explain every single thing. And, having to explain to your kid, oh, well, I can't take the time off of work, or I feel like with me, you can, but if you're taking out days or asking for permission, like, say, Mel, you say your work is flexible. If you continuously do that, people are going to deem you like, oh, well, like, she's just always going out for her child. Like, it's going to become a reoccurring thing. So for me, it's kind of like, I want to be valued. I want to be deemed like I can do my job and, not replaceable. And, like, I know in a blink of an eye, anyone will replace any person in a company. But just having, that kind of secure place where I feel like, I'm doing my job and I'm proving myself that I'm not just a mum. Like, I've come back and I'm like doing it as hard as I can. Another thing that I would like to touch up on as a working mum, I don't think you guys would probably know about this, because you guys don't get homework. Well, your children don't get homework, but, like, I feel like that's another pressure we get added on. It's hard because you don't want them to, like, be behind or miss the homework, or you're so tired when you get in from work, and imagine they have homework for the next day.
I feel like, what if I don't want to go back to work then? What if I just want to stay here? You're not going to judge me.
Mama's Code.